Welcome, Chumash and Rashi, the Torah portion, double portion, Netzavim Yayeilich. Yeah, they're both small portions. And we are in the third reading. We are in chapter 30, verse number 7, exactement. Wait a second, that's old or that's new? Oh. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So soon I'll be able to converse with Rashi. Sheikh is coming. I'll be able to converse with Rashi. All right. Verse number 7. And Hashem, your God, give to you as kol ha'olis, all of these curses, upon your enemy, and upon your adversaries, asher dafucha, that those who pursue you. So interesting, because in the Sikha, just learned who is the enemy and who is the adversary? So, well, we learned on Sunday night's Parsha, the Torah studies, if you recall, speaking about the last mitzvah of writing a Torah scroll, right? And so, if you recall, so the four things. One second. That was this week or last week? Okay, we'll come back to it. Yeah, no, Torah scroll was this week. Yes, yes.
Because you're part of the community, you said.
Right, but the four, okay, you know what? I'm focused here. We'll come back to it. Okay, we'll come back to it. Right. The Ata, and you, Tashuv, will return, the Shemaita, and you will listen, the Kol Hashem, to the voice of God, Vasisa, and you will do its whole mitzvah, but you will do all of his commandments, Asher Neichi Mitzav Chayim, that which I'm commanding you today. Yeah. So remember yesterday we there's a difference of opinion, if you recall. And yesterday, Vishav Hashem, that you will return, is that a commandment that you to do tshuva, or is it a narrative saying what the future will bring? So we had a machlekes, we had a debate amongst the Rishonim, the earlier commentators. Vayisircha Hashem alekecha, and Hashem, your God, will make abundant b'chol ma'aseh yadecha, with all of the work of your hands, meaning, the work of your hands, b'pri bitnacha, in the regard to the fruit of the womb, bitnacha, betin, is the womb, b'fri behemtecha, and the offspring of your animals, b'fri adma ascha, and the fruit of the ground, l'toiva, for good, right? And in other words, you're going to give abundance, and the abundance will be for good. Ki yashuv Hashem lasus alecha, because Hashem will return to rejoice upon you, l'toiv, for good. Wow. Kasher sas alav, just as he rejoiced over your forefathers. Huh? Well, in the previous one, it said Shuva, right? Right. And now we say, what will be the consequence of that? That God will make abundant for you for good, right? In these areas that we just spoke about, right? In children and offspring, and then livestock and fruit of the soil. And not only that, God is going to rejoice over you for good. Wow. Number 10. Kisishma b'kol Hashem Elokecha, or when you will obey, listen. The word it translates here obey, but the word Shema means to listen, right? B'kol Hashem Elokecha, and the voice of Hashem your God, lishmar is mitzvah, to heed his commandments for chukaisav and his statutory laws, ksuva, that are written b'sefer HaTorah hazeh, in this Torah scroll. When you will return to Hashem your God with all of your heart and with all of your soul. So it's interesting that Rashi doesn't, there's a repetitiveness over here, although there is something added over here that's going to be with all your heart and with all your soul. Right. Verse number 11, mitzvah hazais, because of this mitzvah, that I am commanding you today, it is not wondrous mimcha from you. In other words, beyond you. And it is not distant from you. It's coming to it. Yeah. It's coming to it in a few lines. It's coming. Yep.
I didn't read ahead.
You just know. Baruch Hashem. 12. Sorry, no, I didn't do Rashi. Rashi in 11. Rashi in 11. So I translated because the word pella usually means wonderment. So Rashi translates it or explains it as mechusa himimcha, that it's not hidden from you. As Unkelis translates it, Ari it's chasei, a matter of a judgment that's hidden. Terid peloim, terid niyos, that you went down in a concealed place, mechusa, hidden it. Chavushim betomud, a confined and concealed place. So that's how Rashi explains it. I get, something that's wondrous is, beyond it, is sort of, why is it wondrous? Because it's beyond you and concealed from you. That's how he explains it. Okay. Loi b'shamayim it's not in heaven, the mitzvah, right? We're talking about, it's interesting, ki ha-mitzvah hazois, for this commandment, right? It's not in heaven. Lamor, to say, that you might think to say, Miyala Elanu Hashemayim, who's going to go up to heaven for us? V'yikachena Elanu, and to take it for us. V'yashmeinu Oisav Esena, that we should tell it to us, right? And that we should do it. Lo b'shamayim it's not in heaven. Rashi 12. She'ilo Haisav b'shamayim, for if it were in heaven, I would have to go after it afterwards. After all, it is God's commandment, right? And to learn it. So it's not. And it's not across the sea. Leimar, to say miyaver lanu el aver hayam, who's going to go over across the sea, that we should the sea to get it. To take it for us, that it will be taken for us, that we should be able to fulfill it. Yeah, I mean, prophet or teacher, exactly. So what is it? Last verse, which is the one verse that 53 chapters of Tanya is based on. But on the other hand, what is it? It is close to you. Hadavar, this thing, right? What this thing, it's very close to you, as a matter of fact. Where? Beficha, in your mouth, ubilvavcha, and in your heart, lasei, to do. Right, to fulfill it. Rashi kikar ve'lecha, hatere nitna lachem b'ksav u'b'bal peh. What does it mean that it's close? What's the simple meaning? Interesting. Rashi says over here that it's given to you in writing and accompanied to the oral explanation, and that's why it's close to you. In other words, it's not a distant thing for you to be able to fulfill this mitzvah, right? It's close to you. Why? Because it's been given in writing and accompanied with the oral Torah. Interesting. That's really fascinating. Let's go see what the Rebbe has to say on all of this. This is quite fascinating. No. In Tanya, close to you means your relationship with God. Your connection to God is close to you. Where is it close to you? Beficha, in your mouth. The Vavcha has a double meaning. It means your thoughts, because your thoughts are, what you think about is what you feel about, right? Strong feelings lead to what you think about. And laseis is to do. So it means the garments of the soul, thought, speech, and action. Also, Levavcha means in your heart, literally in your heart. In other words, the feelings you have in your heart, but it's a love of Hashem that brings you to do for God. Okay. Let's now. Okay. So Rashi said that it's not in heaven, right? Because if it were in heaven, then I would have to go up there and to take it from there, to go after it, and to learn it. So the Rebbe asks, this is from Kutz book 34. So you can ask, why is the verse, and Rashi, for that matter, in his explanation, depicting something that is no reality to it? Well, there's no reality. What reality? We're going to go up to the heavens. That if it was in the heavens, I would go there to get it. Why is the verse talking that way? Well, no, Rashi's not taking it as a metaphor. He says, because if it were in heaven, we would go there, right? He's not talking, he's not taking it. Remember Rashi's simple meaning of the verse, right? What it means metaphorically, if wonderful, but that's not Chumash and Rashi, right? So if the intent over here is to clarify the closeness of Torah that everybody has, and so it should have been more straightforward, the verse, rather than asking to ask, like, what would you do in such a situation that is so dimyoni, a fantasy, right? It's a fantasy. But Torah's in the heaven. I'm going to go up to heaven to go get it. Like, that's a fantasy, right? That's what it's describing. So be more straight. The Rebbe is asking, right? Don't speak about a fantasy of the Torah being in heaven or across the sea. Be more direct. Be more. So the Rebbe explains, why does the Torah speak that way? Because the expression "not in heaven" so if you remember yesterday, we also used a certain term, right? Yesterday, in yesterday's class, also used the word shamayim. What did it say? That if you will be pushed away to the ends of the heavens, right? We said that yesterday, if you recall. And from there, God is going to gather you, Hashem, your God, is going to gather you and bring you from there. So what does it mean, shamayim, over there? Right? So what it means, the intent of the simple meaning, doesn't mean physically the heavens, obviously, because it didn't mean that there. It doesn't mean that here either. So what heaven means over here means a very distant place physically in the world, not in heaven. it's a figure of speech, yes, right? It's a figure of speech rather than metaphor, right? In other words, a figure of speech that if you're in Timbuktu, as they say in French, right? Excuse my French. I don't know if we'll see that in Rashi, but right? You're at the other end of the world, and that's what it means at the end of heaven. When we said it yesterday, and that's what it means here.
Because we're told somewhere else that if, for example, there's an idolatry, we can investigate it on location. And if we debunked it on location, then the end of the heavens, wherever it is long far away, is also debunked. We don't need to go there to debunk it there.
Right.
It's debunked here, and that's enough. You can extend your reasoning for any place.
Right. Very good.
I would have said that you could have thought that since Moshe Rabbeinu did go to the heavens, right? In order to fetch it. So maybe you could say, okay, and so in your generation, who is going to go to the heavens? So no one needs to go to the heavens now. So that's why you could have thought, well, Moshe did go to the heaven, right?
Right.
So we want you to know now that Moshe brought it down, it's not necessary even to go to the heavens. It's now here on earth.
Good. That sounds interesting. Okay, let's finish off with the Rebbe, what he says, and maybe there'll be a response to that from what the Rebbe says. Yeah, very interesting. Okay. So this is the judgment and the meaning of the verse over here. Loi b'shamayim here means that it's not in heaven, means to say who will be able to go. That when the Jewish people are found in Golus, in exile, in places that are very distant, right? Very, very nidochim, like distant, so pushed away. So you might think that the fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs is only in it's only in Eretz Yisrael in an aspect of not clear, but 1 second. Let me just make sure I got this clear. Let me mitzvahs. Yisrael shehi b'chin shamayim. It says Dayin Hatera mitzvahs biyadam. So okay, it means like this. What? Excuse me. Okay. Don't worry. David. Okay. So it means like this. In a time when the Jewish people are in exile, right? So you might think that the only time you could fulfill Torah and mitzvahs is when you're in a heavenly abode in the land of Israel, right? That's when you can fulfill Torah and mitzvahs. No, comes a verse and says, Karavei the fulfillment of your Torah and mitzvahs has got nothing to do with the place you live in. It's got nothing to do with that. It's close to you wherever you are. Now, when the Jews are in exile, they still have Torah and mitzvahs in their hands, and they're able to learn Torah and fulfill mitzvahs. In other words, it's not the place that makes us wow. This is a very anti-Zionist statement over here, right? Or political Zionist, right? Statement that it's got that. Don't think it's because you're in the Holy Land that's what's going to give you the closeness to God. The closest to God when you're in exile is because it's close to you. The Torah mitzvahs is close to you wherever you are. right? And you don't need to be in a heavenly abode, right, in order to fulfill it. But wherever it is that you are, you have that capacity. So that's how the Rebbe learns this. So, in other words, it's the opposite. It's the opposite idea. Here, when we speak in heaven, or on the cross the sea, so it means in Gullus, you're across this. You're not in Israel. You're across the sea. You are not in heaven, right? You're not in a heavenly spiritual place. So you're going to ask your question: how is it you're going to be able to fulfill Torah mitzvahs, right? So you're going to be able to fulfill it because it's close to you. Torah mitzvahs, and this is the mistake, many even religious Jews make. They think that, in Israel, that's where Torah mitzvahs, that's where I can have its real fulfillment today. That's where I can be close to God. It's a mistake. It's a huge, that's what this verse is saying. It's a huge mistake. It's close to you because you're a Jew. And therefore you have that capacity. It's not because you're in the land that makes it close. It's close to you. That's a time of Golus. Gula is a different thing, but in the time of Golus, that's what it means, and that's what the emphasis is. Very fascinating. Is that clear?
Anywhere why the word very is used? Very near, very close.
So the Alter Rebbe explains chapters 9 through 17 are close to you. What is close to you? What's close to the human being?
Yes. Oh,
You have a brain. That's close to us. And that brain can influence the heart. The mind can have dominion over the heart. That's close to you. But it's not very close. You know what's very close? What's very close to you? Why is the mind having dominion over the heart not very close, but just close? Because we don't all use our brain to have dominion over our heart. Our hearts control us more than our mind does, right? So it's not very close. It is close, and we all have the capacity, but it's not very close. You know what is very close? Your divine soul. Chapters 18 through 25 speaks about the divine soul, Nefesh Elokis, and that is very close to us because that is who we are. That's who we are. And when we understand that that's who we are, it's very close, meaning it was bequeathed to us. Today's Hayom Yom, right? To tie in today's Hayom Yom. What was today's Hayom Yom? That Avraham Avinu, right, gave up his life for Hashem. He was bequeathed that every descendant after him is got the same capacities. What does it mean he was bequeathed? And it means because of him, we've got a soul, a Jewish soul that has that capacity also. How is it that we give up our lives? So chapters 18 and 19 of Tanya bring out that's who that defines the Jews, the Jewish soul, Nefesh Elokis. And because of that, the Chachma of the soul, it brings us to when a time of the sword or some other faith, that for the most part Jews kept their identity and kept their connection to Hashem because of that soul. That's very close to us. That's very close to us because that's who we are. And that's easier to access than the mind. That's harder to access, relatively speaking. That's close, but not very close. Huh?
Or it's instinctual.
The soul is more instinctual, yeah, right, because it is in the end, then the natural habitat of the Jew. We just need to access it. The difference is we need to access it. The mind having dominion over the heart, you got to know a lot about God. You got to think a lot about God. You got to know about God as creator. You got to know God as your personal connection to Hashem, and all these things. And it's a lot, right? And to think about it, because mind having dominion over the heart naturally has its desires and its lusts, right? That you have dominion over it. That's a lot of work. That's not easy. And that's why the Alter Rebbe says it's not very close. Because we don't all have, especially today, we're not such high-minded, lofty souls. The Alter Rebbe's Chassidim, could meditate on something for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on something and be in a different world, and that it came down and really affected them and changed them from within. That's a big challenge for us. That's a big challenge.
Reason why I was asking is so talked about the creation, and God says this is good, this is good. And at the end, he says this is very good. And the Zohar says very refers to that.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I see the word very, why
So that's the first thing the Alter Rebbe says about that it defines the Jew, and because of that, when does the divine soul more likely to reveal itself? Right now, it's not. We have to be very honest with ourselves. Our divine soul is not on display right now. You came here out of your normative kind of routine, right? To come in. To anything that's routine is not your divine soul talking, right? Not your divine soul. It might be a rational soul, might be, whatever, but it's not, right? When for sure, or more or less for sure, is the divine soul revealed? Giving up your life, death, right? Then for sure. But that even healthy habits that we have, good things that we have, we come to daven every day, right? It becomes routine. So that's not divine soul, right?
So it never was the divine soul.
Not to say it was never. No, if divine soul, how do you know it's a divine soul? I'm only doing this for the connection and not to be disconnected. If I'm doing it because there's value in what I'm doing, that's not divine anymore. That's human, which there's important to that, because you need to talk to your animal soul. Your animal soul can be convinced to do a mitzvah. You know why?
For its benefit.
For its benefit, exactly. Not because it's the truth, not because it's the truth. Truth is only the divine soul. Truth is because I'm connected to Hashem through the mitzvah. That's the truth, right? To do something because it's purely the truth, we do it maybe a little bit because of that, but mainly because it's good for us. So we are more refined. Some people, for them, what's good for them is what? To sit and watch Netflix. That's what they feel is good for them. That soothes my soul because I went through a difficult day. I'm having a difficult challenge in life. So I binge in Netflix, right? I will soothe. I feel good about myself because I can disconnect from my troubles, right? And that's so for us, Baruch Hashem, what's good, we feel good, is that we come and learn. And others, we refine the animal soul that it feels the benefit in it, right? That there's a benefit in it, which is remarkable, and that's good. But that doesn't mean it's not the godly soul that's talking in that instance. It's the nefesh hamaskelis. It's the intelligent soul, intellectual soul. But that is also something extremely valuable. All right. See you.